Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Before we get started, we're going to ask that Council Member Sproul lead us in prayer. I ask that everyone please stand for the pledge.
Lord, we come to you thanking you for your many blessings, thanking you for the opportunities that we have together and serve our community. Lord, as we look over our agenda items tonight, give us clarity of mind and help us make good decisions that will best benefit the city. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, again, thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate you guys' presence. We'll go ahead and get started. First agenda item 1 is to consider approval of the August 2024 regular session minutes. Council, if we had a chance to review the minutes, the floor will be open for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I second.
A motion by Councilman Hakeman, second by Councilman Hinton. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. We'll close that item on the agenda. Our next item, item 2, is public comments. The City Council welcomes citizens' participation and comments at all council meetings. Citizens' comments are limited to 2 minutes out of respect for everyone's time. The council is not permitted to respond to your comments. The Texas Open Meetings Act requires that topics of discussion deliberation be posted on an agenda not less than 72 hours in advance of council meeting. If your comments relate to a topic that is on the agenda, the council will discuss the topic on the agenda at the time that the topic is discussed and deliberated. At this time, if we have anyone in the public that would like to speak, please come forward, state your name, and address the council. Okay, so we have no takers on that. We'll go ahead and close item 2 on the agenda. This time we'll move on to item 3. Item 3 is 2024-2025 proposed budget changes. Mr. Nyhoff.
Thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. Tonight we're going to have a brief discussion in regards to the 24-25 proposed budget. To the public, we went on early in August, mid-August, and held a work session. We spent about 4 hours together, the staff, the City Council, and discussed all of the funds within the proposed budget. And at this point in time, that proposed budget remains the same as it was at that time. Now, we, council on August 20 approved a different tax rate than what we had in the proposed budget, and that was the no new rate on August 20. No new revenue tax rate on August 20. We can go to the slides. So tonight, what we wanted to do is propose what the changes and the reductions would be to the budget in order for it to balance. And so when you go through this chart, it shows originally we had proposed in the budget revenue from property tax at $4.51 million. The no new revenue tax revenue would be $4.409526, which caused the need to have a revenue reduction that would apply to the no new revenue tax rate of over $101,000. So again, when we place those numbers within the general fund budget, originally we proposed a little over 16 million. And so additional general fund reductions, which I will go through in just a moment, we are proposing $175,000 in additional reductions. Then the new no new revenue general fund proposed expenditure budget would be $15,855,690. So you go back to the no new revenue general fund proposed is $15,896,780. And then the proposed expenditure budget with these reductions is $15,855,690, and therefore the proposed budget would have a surplus of $41,000, roughly dollars. Next slide, please. So how did we get there? And I must say, first of all, I wanted to say that we did, as part of the proposed budget, eliminate 14 positions that were vacant from the city, which was a little more than $1 million worth of reductions. And so when the proposed budget came to you, I had put in 3% step increases for the eligible employees. There's a 10-step process in the compensation plan with the city. Those who are not at step 10 would get the 3% step increase. However, I did eliminate the 3% step increase for all directors. That saving is about $35,000. So then there's additional reductions in salaries, benefits through elimination, reclassification, salary reductions, full-time to part-time positions, etc. Now, these reductions will likely impact current employees and our confidential personnel matters. We are coordinating those with the city attorney's office, and we will report those when appropriate. And those savings are $140,000 that we anticipate from those particular reductions. And I've listed a number of processes there that we will be reducing. We won't be using all of those, but generally those are the ones that we will be used to gather that $140,000 in savings. Therefore, total general fund reductions from the original proposed budget is $175,000. Next slide. So we also want to propose for the next meeting a city engineer. It would be 9 months worth of salary and benefits it's estimated at $95,000. And then we will reduce contractual services, mostly out of engineering, $95,000. And just to lay the foundation for this, we spent to date over $1 million in engineering fees based across city funds and operations, but also the majority of those go in projects. And so the position will be housed in the utility fund because that's likely where we would use the city engineer most. However, projects such as planning, streets, parks will help fund those positions. So if you need an engineer to do a street project, for instance, the city streets fund would pay the utility fund to do that. And so that each fund is paying for their amount. And I would say it's $95,000 here. I don't want people to believe that we're going to be able to save, $1 million in engineering fees. A lot of these engineering fees are designs. Most of what you're going to see out of this particular person is, for instance, plan reviews. So we don't have to contract out engineers for plan review. We don't have to do all of the project management under an engineer, consulting engineer. We don't have to have the contract engineer dealing with EDC projects, for instance. And I think that will just help us better track and have better relationships with our various partners that we have throughout the city. And I think the departments will be able to get quicker answers than have to call individual engineers. So this is basically a cost neutral request. What we will do, if council basically provides direction to move forward with this, we will put those into the budget. On September 17th will be the public hearing in regards to the budget, the tax rate, and other things that are required by law. And at that point in time, that's when I'll go over a short presentation in regards to the entire budget. And then City Council will hopefully vote on the budget for 24 to 25. With that, Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Council. At this time, do we have any questions?
I want to commend Greg and his staff for their diligence in poring over this and poring over it to try to find ways to tighten the belt of the city. Every little bit matters to the taxpayers right now. It's tough out there in the marketplace where the businesses are. So I appreciate every individual in the city staff that's affected by this. I know it's not easy. I will assure you there's many in the private sector as well that are having to take some hits in their budgets and in their benefits and things, and it's never pleasant. And I appreciate the efforts from the staff, from Greg, his leadership. It wasn't easy to find these savings, and to remind the public, we had gotten used to $1.3 million in our fire contract, which we're losing, half of that basically in the next year's budget. The fire department certainly has adjusted a lot to try to help with that. So to get with that loss of revenue and to be able to find another amount of savings, there's a huge adjustment overall to the budget. And I just wanted to thank you and everybody. And again, my sympathies to the ones that are affected, and I hope that things pick up for the whole nation, but especially our community, as we kind of go through these ups and downs of life. I'm old enough, I've been up and down 2 or 3 roller coasters, and we're kind of, for those of us that have a little gray in our hair, have had some ups and downs. So I really appreciate the efforts. I think it's to be commended, and I hope that the negative impact is able to be dealt with by the individuals that this might have affected. And I do anticipate that our staff, we have a great staff. There's some great people who work this city. I think that we will still have good services. I think the city will be well served on a day-to-day basis, and I think all the needs will be met.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sproul. I will say as well, it's a lot of hard work going into getting budgets prepared, and through getting it prepared, there are a lot of sacrifices. So, and sometimes we may not have to make those sacrifices, but I commend you on the work that's been done, getting this budget together, getting it back in order and online. So I do want to say thank you on my behalf. With that, do we have any further questions?
I'd like to agree. Thank you, Greg, for your hard work and your due diligence. And I want to agree with you also in regard to a city engineer, because, and I'm looking at Erman because I can't remember, Daryl Grubbs was the last engineer that we had. But when did Daryl leave? But I mean, well, Carrie might know that. I mean, he's been, so we haven't had an engineer in that many years, and that's why I think it's due that we get one. So.
All right, do we have any further comments, questions, or discussion on this item? All right, well, if the council agree to go forward with the changes, we won't vote on that until the 17th. So we'll go ahead and get ready to close that item out and move on to item 4. Yes, sir.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to reiterate Councilmember Sproul's comments. That's been, we've spent a lot of hours and days in budget meetings with staff, and yes, they have taken reductions in a number of places within their line item budgets, and we have decided we will tighten our belts as our community is having to do in their own budgets. And I want to say thank you to all of you. I appreciate especially the finance department. We don't have a director, so they've had to really step up on the finance side and come up with numbers that were very difficult to find records of or trace them back to see where decisions were made in the past. So thank you, Mayor and Council, for acknowledging that, and just appreciate all the staff. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, you're welcome, sir. We'll move on now to item 4, which is our quarterly investment reports. Mr. Carl?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I discovered that the last time the investment report was prepared for your presentation was last September. So in this package, I'm including December 2023, March of 2024, and June of 2024. I'll just go over the June report with you. It's the most current. Bottom line, we've got $62,743,628 in investments with the city, broken down as you can see above that. And of course, that includes a lot of bond money that we have invested, and we're going to spend on those projects. But anyway, these reports are required to be presented to council quarterly, and with these 3 statements, we're catching you up. Any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
All right, council, floor is open for any questions you may have at this time.
Carl, did you find, was it easy for you to put these reports together? How hard was it for you to find what you needed to be able to bring these reports to us?
The staff that we have is able to generate these reports. I don't know how easy it was, but they got them to me pretty quick, so it was, we didn't have to search for information. It's all in our ledger.
And do we have a computer program that if the data is being put in, will generate these automatically if the books are being kept up to date and the data is being entered?
This particular report is not a canned report within the software, but it's basically in a spreadsheet. We get the information out of the general ledger software and import it into a spreadsheet and have this presentation here.
So short of an audit, how confident are you in these figures that you were able to present to us tonight, that they're accurate and won't have to be amended or changed?
Oh, I'm extremely certain that these are accurate. Yes, ma'am. At this point in time. And each quarter, if I'm not comfortable with any numbers, I'll let you know. I'm not gonna present information that I can't verify to you.
I just realized in retrospect, when you're going backwards to, pick up where others have, left off, it could be difficult for you. I'm assured and feel like as long as you're doing this going forward, it'll be more comprehensive. But I appreciate, again, y'all's efforts in the county department to bring these quarterly reports forward.
All right, do we have anyone else?
So, Carl is our interim finance director. He's been here a month now, probably, just about a month. So, just one quick comment, and then just a quick question for you is, sometimes when you hear that we have $60-some million in investments, it seems like the city has a lot of money. We have to be mindful that there's been 2 bond issues that have been recently obtained, and so those funds and most of those projects are in progress. A lot of them haven't even started yet, so you'll see those keep coming, and so that's why you see a number of $60 million in investment pools. So we are earning interest on those, and would it be safe to say, from what I'm seeing, is that we're basically getting 5+% rate of interest on these investments?
Yes, sir. 5.410 on these Logic Capital Projects accounts. These are, Logic is the investment vehicle that we have these invested in. So we're achieving over 5.4% until the projects are completed. You'll see on the June 2024 that we brought in $41,506,000, and those are project funds.
Thank you.
Certainly, thank you for that report. Going forward, I'd say, that's gonna be a bonus to get those reports, and it's very transparent to the public for what we have on hand. We'll go ahead and close that item at this time and move on to item 5. Item 5 is to consider approval of ordinance 2024-17 declaring unopposed candidate in the November 5th, 2024 special city election elected to office and cancel the election. Ms. Candace.
So this is an ordinance that we have to have passed by before they go to the polls. There was only one person who signed up, so she's elected, and then she will go on the ballot as an unopposed candidate, and then she will be sworn in after the November 5th election.
All right, thank you for that, council. Do we have any questions?
I do. So, since we decided to do the city charter elections with the special election to save money, is there a way that we can postpone the city charter election to the May election and then save that money where we don't spend it?
Kelly, once it goes on the ballot, it's hard to, there's statutes on it. There's one that addresses that whole thing, one that stays on the ballot, and one that goes on to cancel the election. it would be difficult right now. The election is set. And I think that's some of the questions, some of the political parties for the presidency question, can you get on the ballot? Is it set? Is it whatever? So it's set. Now, if you wanted to just do it, but I don't see it right now. I'll do a little looking into it, whatever, but it's pretty hard once the ballot is set. That's the election law, whatever. Yeah, August is really the main, to get it on the November ballot, and that's the big one. And you might look at it too, there's gonna be other elections going particularly this year. So, the cost savings may not be as much as you might think, because there's gonna be other elections. There are times when we just have this one, there'll just be one. Or these resolution things at the legislature, we didn't have a legislature this year. So, it might not be as much as you think, because there's gonna be some existing elections to go with it. I don't know that for a fact, but that's generally how it's on there.
I will say there are other entities that will participate in the election, so the cost will not be what we would if in a May election of paying $10,000 for an election. It won't be that cost.
And just Kelly, my thought is, since it's being pushed through in a presidential election, you'd have a lot more participation. So that, I think regardless of that, the intrinsic cost of having it going on, may get more attendance from everyone in the city to ensure all voices are heard.
All right, that is a great point. I appreciate that, Councilmember Hickman. And, with that being said, does anyone have any other further questions? All right, at this time, I'll open the floor for a motion on this item.
I make a motion to approve the ordinance 2024-17, declaring unopposed candidate for the November 5th, 2024 special city election.
A second.
All right, we have a motion made by Councilmember Hickman, second by Councilmember Redfern. At this time, Secretary, please take a vote.
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. We'll now close that item on the agenda. Our next item, item 6, is to consider a pay request number 4 from Schneider Electric for work on the meter replacement project. Mr. Razor?
Mayor and Council, this is consider pay request number 4 for Schneider Electric for the work on the meter project. So this amount is going to be for $381,100.07. I put on here, I broke it out to how many meters they've done for the last pay item. So y'all have that before you. And then also the total amount of meters was 2,636 up to date as to right now. So the original construction was $2,856,630. Billing to date was $1,101,709.58. Remaining contract cost is $1,754,920.42, and like I said, the amount requested was $381,100.07, and we recommend approval of this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Razor.
I apologize. There is a map on the second to the last page of the east and west. Like I said, we're working with we have 2 billing cycles, and so you can see that the way they're moving on that, just hitting the streets and still moving on. So. Any question?
I have a suggestion. So I have received phone calls from precious friends that are very mature, widows, single, and they got very nervous when they saw men in their front yards, and they have not a clue who Schneider is, and they were saying they represented the city of Mount Pleasant. So I do know that the water department received quite a few phone calls, me included, because I assumed that's what it was, because I got personal calls going, I've got men in my yard saying they're from the water department. So I thought about it, and I don't know if there's a way we can get a little magnetic thing to go on their Schneider truck that says that they're with the city, or can they wear some of our extra T-shirts? But it is alarming to people when they don't know who they are.
I hadn't received any of those phone calls, so this is the first I'm hearing about it, but there was a situation with Sandlin Motor, and so I had a extensive meeting with them about that, because they're supposed to be knocking on the door and letting them, and introducing themselves, but not as the city. They're supposed to be let as the Enviro Group is what they are. But I will get with Mr. Kaiser tomorrow, and we'll address that.
Thank you, because I told them, I said they were afraid their bushes were going to get messed up, and they were very fearful. So I just told them I thought this is what it was, and the response from the men that were doing it were that, well, you've been given information. And I told this woman, I said, I've been given information too, and I throw it away also, so we're all in the same boat. So I think that goes back to, we need to let people know that they're coming.
Yes, ma'am. I know they've done door hangers and stuff in the area that they're going to be working. So, but I do understand the elderly, the widows and stuff having questions when there's strange people in their yard. I do understand that. As far as the bushes, I hate to say that some bushes will not have to be taken out, because people have a tendency to plant them right next to the water meter, and they have to be pulled out. So we try to save them, but that's usually, some of the cases, is not possible.
They did come by my house the other day and replaced one of the water meters. He gave me a door knocker, but I went out and knocked on the door. I already went out there. So I just said hey to him and all that. But yeah, it wasn't, I think the process maybe, just walk through, maybe they go knock first, because they were digging. I go, hey, what y'all doing? And I kind of knew what was happening already, so let them know who I was and how's it going. And they did a great job, so no complaints, but probably just knock the door first before they start pulling the shovels out. But outside of that, it wasn't a bad experience.
I promise I'll take care of it tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Racing. We have any further questions? All right, we'll open the floor for a motion on this item.
I motion we pay the request number 4 to Schneider Electric for $381,100.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion made by Councilmember Hinton, second by Councilmember Hagman. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 Vote is unanimous. We'll go ahead and close that item on the agenda. We'll move on to item 7. Item 7 is to consider a task order with KSA Engineers for work on FM 4000 sewer improvement.
So this is I don't know if we talked about this, but several months ago, I believe we talked about the sewer line along the ditch area behind John Deere or Agmart, Ag and Turf, that has deteriorated quite a bit. And so we're having to move this sewer line and reroute it. There is a map on the if you'll, and I'll get back to the front page here in a minute. But the yellow line that you see is the original direction that the sewer line was. We've actually had to move that sewer line out of the original easement. Ag Turf gave us permission until we were able to move it. But we were going to try to move it to the first red line on the property line, but Ag Turf requested us or denied us access to another easement. So we've had to move it a little further, and you'll see the additional cost there in a minute. But the green line is going to be where we're going to be looking at moving it. So we'll have to bring it down TxDOT right away, and then we're going to turn back south. I'm sorry, El. We're going to have to turn it back south, and then we'll tie back into an existing sewer line. And right there, we're going to be trying to get an easement from AEP SWEPCO, where they have an easement there already. So I think that's probably going to work out. We've done this in the past. But so I broke it down. The engineering fees is $32,300, and additional services is $28,000. And what that entails is actually what we're trying to do with getting an engineer here. they'll kind of do the, not the design survey, but look over the construction administration and TxDOT permitting and stuff of that nature. So that'll help out in that cost, but, not on this project, but upcoming projects. So the estimated cost for construction alone was $198,570. Total project was $258,870. And then we actually put in the bond was like $230,000. So this was a little bit more, but we had to extend the line a little further. So we're requesting that you approve this task order.
All right, thank you, Mr. Frazier. Council, do we have any questions at this time?
Can you repeat what was in the bond? I'm following you.
It's right there. It's a 200. We actually budgeted about 230,000 for this project, but it's going to come in a little bit more because we had to move it further down TxDOT right away. And actually, KSA actually put in theirs when they done theirs was 260. But I don't know. Cobb Finley was our engineer at the time, and they were going to try to do it in house with themselves, and he put 230. So we're still in what KSA gave us as their cost.
Just looking at the 290s versus a few of these kind of 45s and so on how they're run, any concern or any additional to account for that? Because, you know, they're a lot harder 90s to get things around.
Well, it looks like that's going to be a manhole. And it'll have a sweeping. They're designed like this, so that won't be an issue.
All right, thanks.
Did this bid include any reclamation to restore and build a retaining wall or anything for the business? You know, because they had a lot of erosion that happened as a result of this.
Well, we didn't cause the erosion. So all the water and stuff, this is one of the things why they didn't want us to give us another easement, because they wanted the city to go in and completely redo that drainage ditch, but all that water comes off TxDOT right away. The city doesn't have anything to do with it, so we contacted TxDOT, or Cobb Finley did, and TxDOT said they're not messing with it. So that's why we had to look to go elsewhere with the sewer line.
I appreciate that update because I'm sorry there's a problem with TxDOT, but I'm glad that it's not just the city runoff issue that's causing that erosion.
No, ma'am, it's not. All this comes from TxDOT right away.
And they won't help us one dime?
That's the way I understood. Yes, ma'am.
Go at them again. Anthony, it's a river that runs through there. I've seen it because I drive there all the time. And I mean, I understand, but it's a real issue. And Lanny Buck, do you have any suggestions on that to work with TxDOT just to help us with this, at least this overage that we're over a little bit?
Well, I know that Cobb Finley was working with TxDOT and called them several times and actually met out there with them, the way I understand, and they wouldn't budge.
Maybe the wrong guy doing the meetings, what I'm saying, Anthony, Lanny. You know these TxDOT boys around here, you've worked with them a lot.
We'll try again. We'll try again.
Well, sometimes you might have to push Anthony a little more, but we definitely appreciate all the hard work you guys doing, and being that it is TxDOT that's responsible for it and not us, I mean, that is something that's going to have to be taken up with them. So, with that being said, Council, if there's no further questions, I'll go ahead and open the floor for a motion on this item.
One more question. I know there was a bit of an overage, just to make sure I didn't miss. How's the additional dollars being accounted for again?
Well, this money's actually in the bond money, so I mean, we have it in the bond to cover this, so that won't be an issue.
Just making sure. Thanks. With that, I make a motion to approve this task order for FM 4000 sewer improvement.
I second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Hagman, second by Councilmember Hinton. Madam Secretary, record a vote, please.
Aye.
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 All right, vote is unanimous. We'll go ahead and close item 7. Our 8th item on the agenda would be our city manager's report. Mr. Nahar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a couple items, but I wanted to begin with responding to a couple questions that were raised last meeting at the public comment. And that was comments in regards to Christmas lights that we were, the rumor was that we had basically given away $100,000 worth of Christmas lights. And secondly, there was a question about people hearing about a fraudulent account and a fraudulent payment that I've asked the police chief to come up and speak to in a moment. So maybe I'll just start with you, police chief. Come on up and explain that particular issue.
Evening, council, mayor. So back on about April 18th of this year, our finance department was contacted by a project management engineering firm on the wastewater treatment plant project. They had received an email from who they believed was the construction company requesting a change in payment information going to a direct deposit into a bank account. That email was forwarded to our finance department requesting the change of payment type. They requested the account and routing information back through that management company, who went back to the construction company, received that information, then we deposited the next pay request. It had been a pay request approved by council on the 16th of April in the neighborhood of $1.1 million to Heritage Construction, or contractors. About 5 days later, finance was contacted because payment hadn't been received by Heritage, and it was discovered that the email contact information to the engineering firm was fraudulent, and it was the updated new payment information was false, and it was to a fraudulent account. I was contacted that day. Me and my CID lieutenant, we contacted the FBI and the Secret Service both. The Secret Service ended up moving forward with an investigation. At the time, they were able to, in the bank where the money had been transferred to, they were able to seize about half of those funds. So at the time, we recovered subsequently about, I think it was $543,000 in change. But the investigation has continued, and the Secret Service and their task forces have continued that investigation. I occasionally get updates from those investigators. They have sent out a lot of subpoenas. They have tried to seize funds out of several bank accounts, which has gone to multiple states and also out of the country. So this will be an ongoing investigation that will probably continue for maybe a couple of years. And so that's kind of the gist of what's going on. We did receive, a couple of weeks ago, I received requests to finalize some information on receiving back about another $54,000 from a seized account. That is currently in, they're working through that process, as there's another person or entity that has attempted to lay a claim on that money. So anyway, so as that investigation goes, we will probably find out whatever else we'll recoup over time, but it will take time to complete this investigation.
All right, thank you, Chief. I'm sure you'll update us with any new information as it comes.
Yeah, I will put out there, they have asked me to be careful, and they give me very limited information so that I can give very limited information as they continue this investigation. So I won't have much details except that they're still working on it and they'll continue to work on it. They ended up referring it to one of their larger task forces because the web of where it went, and anyways.
Sometimes liability reasons, when people are hacked or their accounts are broken into, they can cover those funds. So with the amount we have not been able to recoup yet, as a bank or a security fund, has anybody been able to cover that missing amount?
So I think at this time it's probably premature to go that direction because the investigation, we don't know what we'll recoup yet. And I would, on that, have to refer you to our legal team to make that determination about what other entities may be able to assist in the recovery of funds that were not able to recover through the investigation. I'm sorry, I don't have a good answer for that one.
All right, we have any further questions?
I'll just say thank you for following up on this and keeping it top of mind and keeping us informed. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate you.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, the other item was that we threw away $100,000 worth of Christmas lights. What Mr. Houston has told me, our Public Works Director, is that originally when we hired a company that actually puts the Christmas lights up, those Christmas lights were purchased, and the owner of those Christmas lights are the vendor who puts those up for us. And for instance, it was that they were replaced recently. Well, that vendor pays for a replacement of those as the lights and the strings go out, and then they'll put them up for us. And I think one thing that has been discussed is, well, we're gonna have Christmas lights this year, so Garrett tells us that we will have lights at the courthouse, City Hall, Water Office, CID, 24-foot Christmas tree, lights in Caldwell Park, 75 wreaths on lighted poles on Jefferson and Madison like last year. And so, for instance, the Parks Department will decorate Caldwell Park to cut down on expenses. So again, we tried to look at budget cuts, and we did reduce some of this budget cuts, but generally the contractor will still be out, and you'll see Christmas lights in all of those areas. So if there's any questions on that, certainly we'll answer those, but if otherwise I have a couple more comments.
Thank you.
All right, no further questions? Okay, proceed.
So I wanted to, just a couple things, we posted on Facebook that we would be doing some street overlays starting this week, and that's been delayed 1 week, and so just wanted to let people know if they were expecting to see streets work this week, it'll be beginning next week. I think that I've mentioned to council, just in spirit of transparency, that we've had issues with our sewer pump, or our sewer plant, our screw pumps. That 2 of them went out. We replaced them with 2 new ones that were going to be put in the expansion project. One of those has gone out, and the other one is showing signs of failing as well. So our utilities director has been out with them as of this afternoon, the actual manufacturers here. And again, we're working on resolving that. There's no worry that everybody's gonna back up because there's alternative ways to put pumps out there. It's just a cost that they will have to absorb if those pumps or those screw pumps don't work. So I just want to let everybody know that. I wanted to say that we have in our midst with us today Mr. Wooten, who has given us a letter of I don't know if you can call it resignation, retirement after 42 some years, and he will be with us till October 1st. And so just want to let everybody know that we certainly appreciate 42 years, and I don't think anybody on this council's been here that long, but certainly you have. So I don't know if you want to comment, sir.
Well, I thank you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still be across the street over there, but I had made everybody aware around the first of the year that it was time, and I wanted to step down and whatever. And you've been gracious, and so I don't have anything to add. I thank you. I wouldn't have thought in 1982 I'd still be sitting here, but I guess it worked out pretty well. It's been interesting. It's been a good ride. The Bible talks about 40 years. A lot of things happen in 40-year cycles, and I think I've been here long enough to see those cycles just they're starting all over again, from sewer plants to this, to that, to the other. So there's nothing new under the sun. So anyway, thank you, and I'm not going anywhere, and anywhere that I can help or assist, I'll be right across the street over there. But I think it's time to step down. So, no problem, no issues. It's just time. So, thank y'all.
All right. I want to thank you, Mr. Wooten, from the first day that I was sworn in and coming to you for advice about different things within our city government. And it has truly been a pleasure the time that I've served with you, and till the day you go, I want you to know that you are appreciated.
Thank you, Mayor. It's been a good run.
Can I just, we will October 1st, we're not going to say goodbye to you quite yet. So October 1st, we plan to have certainly a plaque and some recognition. I'm sure the city council wants to do that, and so we'll certainly be doing that. So hang on, you got a little time left in you in those 42 plus years.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all very much.
So very quickly, a couple other items, just a reminder that on September 17, which is the next regular city council, is our formal public hearing on the budget and on the tax rates. And then, you all had a list of things that are going on in the community. Want to list them real quick? They are, Friday at 10 a.m. will be the ribbon cutting on alley on 3rd Street, which I never have seen. I think it's been quiet for a few years, or for some time, and it'll have the ribbon cutting to open that. And then on Saturday, they will have a 7 to 10 kickoff of alley on 3rd Street. So that's something coming back to our community in the downtown area. Farmers Market is also at 7:30 to 11 a.m. on September 14. And those are the things that I wanted to mention. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you for that report. We're certainly pleased to have that report. Just, go ahead.
Carrie, we're gonna miss you. Glad to know you'll still be closed. I'd like to ask a question about the pump failure at the sewer plant. Is that an equipment failure or an installation failure? What, do we have any update at all as to why we're having such failure with new equipment?
Ms. Brule, so we had a meeting this afternoon, and there's no definite answer yet. We're meeting back in the morning. We're going to go on bypass about 7:30 in the morning. They're going to shut the one that's making the noise down. We have Evoqua here. They're going to assess it. It's going to take 2 or 3, 4 hours. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. They told me it'll probably take that long. And so I'm going to get back with them before they leave, and we're going to have a meeting for them to kind of tell me what they think's going on. The other one that failed, they are assessing it. They almost have an answer, but they don't want to give us an answer until, because this one went down. So they're holding on to what they have found or not found, and that's kind of where it. But to answer your question, it is a mechanical failure.
So are we repairing, or are we replacing? Did we pick the right kind of equipment? Did we get undersized? What do you, I mean, and maybe it's not fair to ask that right now, but I'm very curious what went wrong.
The best answer I can give you on that is you're gonna have to wait till we get the results from Evoqua. But those are the same identical pumps that we had in there. They designed them. And so I don't think that we went the wrong way of getting these. It's just somewhere, to me, had we put them in the new plant, I believe they'd have failed in the new plant. Not because we put them into the old plant. I believe they would have failed just because of some kind of design flaw.
Warranties, I find, are only as good as the company that stands behind the warranty.
So I think those are great questions, because you got them from me too, because you wonder, you have brand new pieces of equipment, and you assured me that all the T's were dotted, or all the T's were crossed and I's dotted, in regards to ensuring that either the manufacturer or the contractor or someone signed off with them putting these new ones in our old plant before they put them in there. Because obviously, we were getting the other two fixed, and we don't want to be liable or have to eat these costs when we just told them to put them in. And so we went through a lot of effort to get those things documented, so that should something happen like this, that again, it would be the manufacturer, the contractor, probably the manufacturer, and their engineers who took a look at our existing plant and made the decision that those would work for our old plant. And so that's why when he says manufacturing, we have to believe that that's the case at the moment, because they took all the steps to make sure that they could put those new ones in our old sewer plant and that they would function and this wouldn't happen.
And their warranty company is standing behind them. So I was told that today.
How long a warranty do we have?
Well, we have a year, and they've only been 7 hours in 1 month.
Good.
I think we're still under the warranty. I think we're okay. And they did sign off on the new ones being put into the existing old plant.
In retrospect, is a year enough of a warranty?
I believe I'm gonna have to turn that over to Lanny.
My mom always said I asked too many questions.
So the good and the bad part about these contracts is that we have belt suspenders on everything pretty much. So you've got a warranty of a year, you've got a performance and a payment bond as well on these pumps. The second lift stations these were gonna go into, structure's exactly the same, because we liked the old pump, city liked the old pump. So we designed those, it's the same setup. So whether they were put in the new one or the old one, it's the same structure they were sitting. So there's nothing, the slopes are the same, the lift's the same, the size of the pump is the same, there's nothing different there. We don't know what happened. The manufacturer did sign off on it when the contractor puts it in. The manufacturer spends 2 days with them, making sure going around tightening bolts, making sure everything's set, checking the angles, checking the seats, checking the bearings, making sure the oiler's working, and a whole list of other things to make sure that it's put in there right. So the fact they both failed in exactly the same, in 2 different holes, you know, you would certainly think it's the same thing all the way around. So, in my career, I've never seen this before, but, you know, if they did the same thing twice, we got the same result. So, that's why the manufacturer's down there trying to figure out what's going on. Like I said, we've got belts and suspenders to make sure we get there. But right now, the contractor has been agreeable to take on the effort to make sure we get that everything's taken care of as far as the treatment goes, and the pump manufacturer has said they're going to warranty it. We hadn't seen it in writing, and everybody starts pointing fingers when something happens. So we'll have to see how that comes out. Everybody always says somebody else. So that's the stage we're in right now.
It is a lot of money, but it's also very critical to have a working wastewater treatment plant. And I know I'm just a citizen that's serving here, but my concern is if I was involved in this, is the year going to be enough? I mean, is there any way, while they're standing behind it, maybe we could try to negotiate a little longer warranty on this, if we're not going to replace them with a new design. If there's something, I understand that you said it's the same angle, it's the same thing as, you know, before, but it may be the equipment's different. Something's obviously, Lanny's drastically different this time.
And obviously, and yes, I need to go back and look, because a lot of times I just don't have the specs in front of me. We do ask for a 5-year warranty, but it's usually parts, or it's not always everything covered. So we'll look into that, see if there was an extra cost for that. We've gone, less than a month and 7 hours on one, so seems to be failing quick.
That's my concern, is how quick it is, and is it gonna, what's gonna happen again? I hope you're able to get a firm answer as to what caused the failure.
And that is our hope as well.
I have a suggestion. If it is mechanical, and they are sending these pumps and these things to other towns as well, there might be some other towns that are going through the same thing that we are. Would it be a good opportunity to find out if other people are having the same experience?
We can ask that question, but we have these pumps in several wastewater plants. This isn't the only one they're in, and this is the only one available. So, in less than 15 years. So, there's something unique going on here. It may just be luck of the draw of the pump that came out, but as far as this design, this is a very hard design.
I'm assuming when y'all go through all this and ask all the questions and they do their investigation, we find out these were manufactured during the same batch and things like that, right? Just kind of back to they both failed, same sandwich, just different piece of meat, but it tastes weird, so.
I'm not sure how to answer that one.
All right. Well, we thank you, Mr. Racing. Laney, we appreciate you too. I trust that you guys will get the answers for us, as soon as you find out exactly what's going on with them. Mr. Nahhoff, you'd like to continue? Or were you done?
I think all I'd like to say is I think council raises some very good points in regards to, you've got a 1-year warranty on these, but both went down, and so extended warranties, certainly if they're using the same pumps, or even using the same pumps longer than a year, I think is something we certainly need to look at. But I appreciate council's comments in regards to this particular situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that will conclude the city manager's report. At this time, we'll go ahead and close item 8 on the agenda and move on to our executive session. Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551, Texas Government Code, the city council will recess into executive session to discuss the following, and that will be personnel matters, discuss the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, i.e. city attorney. This time, we are in executive session. The time is now 7:42. The council is reconvened from executive session. No action being taken at this time. The meeting is adjourned.